Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rcha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Various Topics, dated August 27th, 2021, the year of hastening the coming of our Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Just bear with me. I'm going to put this headset on because I'm not sure how, it's a little windy. So there we go. Uh, just let me know if you can hear me. Just let me know if you can hear me. So we'll make sure that everything is good. Okay, good. The water. All right. So I was just reading a little bit of this book, Salem Kerbin's Satan's Angels Exposed, because he goes off on a lot of things, but he has some good information in there. And I want to touch on pretty much a little bit on world government. There's a section here in chapter 27, which is page 214 in the book. It's called the Trilateral Commission, America's New Secret Government. And this goes back to what Maya M. Shelbauer said, which was one of the Rothschilds. He said, "Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes the laws." And that is key. Having control over a government's money is key because it gives you access and control over every aspect of that nation. And that's why what they're doing is a worldwide event. So they're going from country to country and infiltrating these countries, getting control of their money, resources, laws, and everything of that nature, to be able to manipulate and move all of these nations in the direction of the one world order. And this has been something that nations have tried since the beginning of time. And every nation that tried it failed, because there will be a one world order, one world government that will be established, but that one world government will be established under Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and the nation of Israel. The real Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and wherever Israelites may be around the world, no matter what they look like, as long as their line goes back to one of the tribes of the nation of Israel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out of this book, to get some points out of it. And then I got like 3 precepts, and then, take it from there. Because this is what they want. They want world domination because they have an agenda. And for a long time, this agenda was being exposed. One thing they couldn't deal with was, exposure. But the scriptures tell us that their tongue shall fall upon themselves. So you had certain insiders that were privy to the information that they were bringing out, and they were breaking away from them and bringing out that information. A lot of them they put to death. Some of them, they say that they were that they suicided themselves, or they died in a plane accident, or whatever the case may be, to remove that threat of exposure. And that's why they started bringing out their clowns and saying that, if you speak about a one world government or certain things, that there's rich banking families trying to take over the world, those are just conspiracy theorists. And when you look up that term conspiracy theorist, pretty much it's the new term for quackery. Like back in the days when naturopaths would heal people by the herbs, they would call him a quack, because that's when the American Medical Association was being established. So in that, they had to remove the threat, which was the naturopath doctors, which are dealing with herbs and things and medicines of that nature, barks of trees and different things like that, grasses. And so they had to get them out the way. So today, to hide their agenda, they had to label the people that are exposing their agenda conspiracy theorists, and pretty much you'll see a lot of propaganda and disinformation on the web, about individuals that expose this agenda, and everything that's been said about the agenda is all coming to pass now, you know? So really, were these people really conspiracy theorists? Or as some say, was it a conspiracy fact, So let's start off here in chapter 27, page 214 of Satan's Angels Exposed by Salem Kerbin. Then it says on the side, it says one world goal. The Trilateral Commission is an extension of the Council on Foreign Relations, CFR. Its ultimate goal is to incorporate Japan, Canada, the United States, and the common market nations of Europe into a one world socialist governmental web. Yeah, because it's about getting the whole world down with this program, with this agenda. The name Trilateral is derived from the fact that the leaders come from three democratic areas of the world: the United States, Western Europe, and Japan. It was David Rockefeller who handpicked this elite group of some 250 individuals in 1973 to begin this organization. They included power shapers from business, banking, government, labor, and intelligentsia, which is intelligence. And pretty much, you can see just based off of the people that he picked, that these are the movers and the shakers, of the society. That's why whenever they found someone that was very intelligent, that's what these colleges are for, by the way, not for higher learning. Higher learning, to be inducted into world governments, not into this world agenda, not for better living and better, to be able to get a job that pays you well so you can live well, live the American dream. No, they're looking for the next world leaders, the movers and the shakers. And that's why Aaron Russo was approached, because he had very good ideas, and he had a very good temperament, so they wanted him on their side. So it says on the surface, this group would appear to be accomplishing good, seeking ways to make a positive contribution to world problems. The Trilateral Commission meets twice a year to discuss problems like the world monetary situation, economic issues, and military issues. However, those who have penetrated the inner workings of this group state that the real purpose is to take over all key policy-making positions in government and to unite the free world into a loosely knitted socialistic world government. And that's pretty much what it is. It's all done to move the power of these different countries into the hands of the elite. And that's why they have a cabal. Or let me see if the term cabal comes up. They have a group of men and women that are groomed in these different, politics or whatever the case may be, in order to make these different policies that will direct all of the energy and resources, money, laws, policy making, all in the direction of the international banking families. So the word cabal is a clique or a clique, often secret, that seeks power, usually through intrigue, a plot to carry out some harmful or illegal act, especially a political plot. So it's a conspiracy, and that's what and that's why they have these different groups and these different denominations bringing together, everything into the hands and favor of the international banking families, which consists first and foremost of Amalek, the Rothschilds, Rockefeller, so on and so forth. Then you have other major rich people among the other nations. See, we don't really speak about that much. We only really speak about Esau because Esau is the one that's in power. But you have these kings of the earth that are a part of this whole system. They're a part of, receiving the benefits, of, the 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 um so-called super elite or banking elite, so-called. So they are in bed with this whore, this harlot, America. And the scriptures speak about that, the kings being made rich, the kings drinking of the wine of the wrath of, the whore, as it says in Revelation 17 and other places. So this is Psalms, the 64th chapter. It says, hear my voice, O Most High, in my prayer, preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Yeah, because what is the fear of the enemy? The fear of the enemy is to establish a world, a society that is dystopian for the masses, which the word dystopia means, a bad place, but it benefits the elite, the so-called elite, which that would be a utopia for them, but it would be a dystopia for the rest of the people. And that's what the fear is, because there's a council, but it's not just a council, it's a secret council that they're using, in order to achieve these goals. But now those councils are no longer secret because they've been being exposed for the longest. Excuse me. Back in the 80s and 90s, you were thought a lunatic if you spoke about these things. Back in the 60s and 70s, you should be committed to Bellevue or one of them, sanitariums, not sanitation. But now it's, these things are household names. They're topics that people speak about freely, that they would never accept, 10, 20, 30 years ago. Why? Because we're coming down to the wire, down to the end, where the Lord is exposing the plans, and now people are starting to see it. But when people were speaking about these things and no one saw it, everybody was like, "Oh man, here we go again. This individual here, this bug out." But now everybody's on the bandwagon now. Everybody's an expert now in the inner workings of the international banking families who are known as the Illuminati and many other names. Just like now that all the information about this technology of the RFID microchip is coming out, now everybody in Israel is starting to become experts, at breaking down, the MOTB. But that's all right, because it's got to be that way. That's what a low life does, and I'm not saying that all brothers that are out there doing that are low lives. I'm just saying the ones that were coming against us, and now all of a sudden they're experts when they were talking shit about us for bringing that out, And if you can't discern from that, then hey, you might be in the mix of that. So it says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. And that's what they're doing. They're working iniquity, because by putting that device into people, that is a wicked device. That is a wicked intention. It's an insurrection that's going to be brought by the international banking families through their corporations to the masses of the people, especially the Israelites, because that's the main threat. The main threat are the Israelites. They're trying to get their birthright back even all these thousands of years later. And they know that the only way they can do that is for the Most High to push us away, to do away with us. But the scriptures already say that if the sun or the moon and the stars stop giving their light, then the Lord will do away with us. But we still see the sun come up every day, the moon, we see the stars, everything. So it's impossible for them to do that. And that's just one aspect. Do you talking about searching out the earth, searching out the seas, searching out the universe? And that's why they're doing these things and searching, because they're working hard to try to get rid of us by any means necessary. But they can't do it. So it says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword. Yeah, they sharpen their tongue like a sword. And how do they do that? By the things that they speak in private to bring to pass in the public eye. So it says, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. And that's what these things are. Even though they seem like they're benevolent, even though they seem like they're beneficial, even though they seem like they're helpful, they're really harmful. But the individual bringing it out is bringing it out in such a calm manner, and such a, speaking with such humility, and such, authority and things of that nature, that the average person that's not written in the book of life is going to be taken by those wonders, by those miracles, because everything is being painted as, the picture that's being painted is that everything that's being put into place is for the benefit of the human race, so to speak. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. And the main threat to this whole order, this whole agenda, are the Israelites. They thought that back then, when they shut down One West and got to Comfy and got them to change the doctrine around to a Roman Catholic doctrine, with an Israelite spin to it, that was it, because they've been trying to infiltrate the school for years. But unbeknownst to them, the Lord caused all these different splits to happen so that the word can get out in different veins, because the Lord created this devil, so the Lord knows how this devil operates. And every time there's something established anywhere in the world that has to do with Jake, they have infiltrators among your own, among our own people that come in there, to try to disrupt it, to try to bring it under the control of the international banking families through religion, through politics, and whatever other avenue. You have Jesuits, you have those trained individuals that go to these different cemetery schools, as the Elder Apostle Tara calls it, to learn the bullshit that they teach, to indoctrinate everybody else. And they're taught how to infiltrate different groups and get into higher positions of these groups, so that they can, from within, change the tenets of that particular group. And they've done that time and time again. So they thought that by destroying One West and destroying the main headquarters, that would stop the word from going out. But like I said, the Spirit had me say, unbeknownst to them, the Lord caused many splits before that happened. And the word went out in different veins. And this is why the word, like Yahushua said, the Spirit, you don't know where it's coming from, you don't know where it's going from, just like the wind. And they're trying to bottle the truth into a category, as it says in Revelation 12:10. But they can't bottle it into a category, because it's not just one thing. Like every religion has a particular teaching, whether it's a charismatic movement, the ones that speak in tongues, whether it's those that believe in the virgin birth, those that believe in hell, those that believe in this. So there's different things that they teach, that they categorize. Okay, that religion teaches that, this religion teaches that, this religion, so they're trying to put the Hebrew Israelites in that same vein and categorize. But this truth is very vast. And vocab no class Malone, that asshole, he learned that quickly. And that's why he been shoving them pizza pies down his throat, because he's depressed, because pretty much he failed at his quest. And see, he's a major assimilator. Vocab Malone is a major assimilator. What he does, he mimics. He sees something, he mimics it. And that's why you see over the years his posture, his way of speaking, even his crappy way of rapping. He assimilates. He sees something and he becomes that, or tries to become that. And that's why you see him now speaking all, certain way, when he first started rapping, seek with the turban and that bullshit, you know. Then all of a sudden you start hearing him speaking or rapping like Eminem, or that type of style, you know, because he's nothing but an assimilator, a mocker. And that's what they're doing, because they're trying to destroy the truth, but you can't. And that's one of the major goals of this agenda, this new world order, is to destroy all established religions, to make one religion, which is their religion, their worship. You know, but you're going to fail miserably. So let's get back to it. So Psalm 64 and 4, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Who are the perfect? The Israelites. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not, because they have no fear when they do the things to us, because since they got to this side of the world for over 500 years, they've been doing all type of bullshit to us, and they haven't been paid back for it. And that's why they're doing what they're doing. And they keep doing it boldly, because they think that the Most High is on their side. But boy, are they mistaken. It says they encourage themselves in an evil matter. Yeah, because that's an evil matter, to try to put stuff into people to alter them. You know, that's an evil thing, to destroy the food, the water, the air, the very fabric of clothing that we put on our backs, you know, are tainted with different poisons and toxins that are killing us. You know? So it says they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? Because they don't think the Lord sees them. So that's why all of these different things that they're doing, through their legislation, through their politics, through their financial systems, through the food chain supply and the food that they make and all that, that's all done as a means to destroy a good portion of people in the population, because they're trying to bring it down to a sizable, you know, a manageable number. And they're seeing that their attempts are not working. It's not working fast enough. Yeah, people are getting sick, people are getting messed up, but it's not working fast enough for them. So that's why they had to step it up. It says they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Yeah, and what does that mean? That they actually test and retest and do this and ask about that, you know, and search this out and then research it again and then search it again the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th time. Then they test it on animals, then they test it on people, then they do this and they do that until they perfect that demon tree. And that's what they do. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Yeah, because they're not telling everybody what they're doing. But deep down in their mind, they have the agenda. You know? So their heart is deep. And it's not, you won't be able to pull it out of them unless you happen to be a part of them and they happen to share it with you. And that's why the average person out there doesn't believe in this so-called New World Order, because nobody really from the inside that's in it now is coming out and saying, yep, these are the plans that we have. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You know, we're going to microchip every individual on the planet, blah, 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 you know. And that's what the people say, man, you guys are crazy, man. But you do have information out there from insiders that brought it out. But hey, but the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. Yeah, because in the midst of them establishing this vision of theirs, they're going to be their vision is going to be destroyed. And the top elite banking families of the world, along with the kings of these nations, are going to go right into captivity, along with the rest of the stragglers of these nations around the world. It says, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. And that's what happened. Some good in there, they start listening to it, and at first they cool, yeah, this is fun, you know. And after a while, they say, yeah, we're getting all this money, you know. And after a while, they're like, I don't know about this. It sounds kind of diabolic. and then they have a change of heart, so to speak, because it's the Lord putting the Spirit on them to do that and bring out information, to leak that information out for us, really, so that we can get a hold of that. So it says, all that see them shall flee away. So you're going to have some that are able to see through the madness, and they're going to pull away from that. And see, the ones that can see are the problem. We have one that can see, for that movie They Live. Those of you that haven't watched that movie They Live, I suggest you go and watch that movie tonight. That's a very good movie to show you how they operate. I mean, minus the reptilian bullshit, But they are serpents, They are the serpent's seed. It says, and all men shall fear and shall declare the work of the Most High, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. Why? Because they're going to be exposed. So the ones that have the eye salve to see are going to avoid these devils. But the rest of them that are not written in the book of life, the scripture said they're going to wander after the beast. It's going to be like they're in a spell and they're walking towards it, like they're sleepwalking and walking towards a new world order. Here comes Maxine Waters or Vicky Vale's Venom, and they take it because they're mesmerized by the, enchantments of the harlot. They're walking towards a new world order. They're walking towards, the international banking family's agenda because they are under the spell of them. They were never given, the key to wake up from that spell. It says, the righteous shall be glad in the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and shall trust in him, and all the upright in heart shall glory. That's right. So now let's go from there to the book of Habakkuk. Because what is the final analysis? The final goal is for them to take take control over the whole world, which they pretty much have everything. They have more than their heart could wish, as the scriptures say. But that's not enough for them, because they are a diabolical, unsatiable group of individuals, devils. Let's look up that word, unsatiable. Or is it either unsatiable or insatiable? Just bear with me. Or insatiable, right? Because satiable, it goes back to satisfy. Yep. Insatiable, impossible to satisfy. So I don't even think unsatiable is a word. Or is it? Yeah, same thing. Unsatiable, insatiable. They both come up. Impossible to satisfy. Yep. Yeah, synonyms: rapacious, ravenous, insistent, urgent, clamorous, crying, demanding, greedy, gluttonous. Unsatisfied, unappeasable, unquenchable, unsatisfiable. And those are all synonyms that describe Esau to a T. That on top of their demonic existence, because they are the devil. Boy, you are the devil. They say I make the devil's music. What do you think? Say, boy, you are the devil. Inside joke. So let's go back. Now let's go to Habakkuk 2. I'm trying to keep the camera moving because the sun is kind of hitting it and start making it hot. So if you see the camera moving, I'm just moving it out of the sun. All right, so Habakkuk 2 and 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. See, so his soul that is lifted up in him, because they're lifted up with this pride. You got to remember, they have control of the whole earth. They have assets and riches and anything that anyone could ever want, over and over, many lifetimes over. So these riches and all that status is going to bring, arrogancy. It's going to bring pride. So these devils, their pride is through the roof. It says, but the just shall live by his faith. Yeah, because the only thing that's going to keep the elect is faith. And that's the great divide. That Esau, those international bankers, they thrive on their riches. We thrive on faith. Faith is our riches. See? And just like their riches keep them safe from different things and buffer them from different things, our faith keeps us safe and buffers us, and hedges us from all these different, problems out here. But in the long run, the carnal riches are not going to profit them, in the day of evil, in the day of wrath. So it goes on to say, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine. What is his wine? These are his philosophies, the agenda that he's pushing on the world stage. It says he is a proud man, and there's none prouder than Esau, boy. I tell you, boy, neither keepeth at home, and they do not keep at home. They don't stay here. They are all over the place in everybody's business. Every time there's anything shaking in the world, that's Esau out there, in the midst of somebody else's business. He's that proverbial, individual that's intermeddling in other people's matters where he don't belong. And that has repercussions, man. It says, who enlargeth his desire as hell. Because what is hell? Hell is the grave. What is the desire of the grave? To commit as many dead people to it as possible. Now, like the scriptures say in Proverbs, that the grave is never full. It never has enough. Because that's the sentence over all flesh. So they know eventually those dead people are going to come there. So his desire is as that. And also, his desire is, they're so greedy and insatiable that they bring death in order to achieve goals, in order to add to their portfolio, add to their riches. You're dealing with a different type of beast, dealing with the so-called white men, these Edomites. And not just because you look like a so-called white man means that you're an Edomite. It all depends on who your forefathers are. If your forefathers are Edomites, then you're an Edomite. If your forefathers are Israelites, then you're an Israelite that just happened to get caught up in these nations and mixed and look like you look. If you happen to be a Hamite that looks like that, same deal among the Hamites. All right, so they can never be satisfied. It says, and is as death, because they bring death everywhere that they go. They come in there, so yeah, we're here to help the people out. Yeah, I see that your people are suffering. You need vaccinations. Everybody's suffering from malaria, Ebola, and all this stuff. So we're here to help you. So we're gonna give your president or your leader such and such amount of money through the IMF, and it's contingent on, if you can't pay it, we're coming in and taking over your land and your resources. You know that, right? So, and then they'll have their corporations in there for the so-called benefit of the country, and all of the money that's given to that country is funded back to the corporations of America and these international banking families. So what are they really doing? They're really in a roundabout way sucking the resources out of these people with the idea of them really helping them. And they're not. They ain't helping them. They ain't helping them, no. It says, inside joke. Who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death and cannot be satisfied. You see? There's a scripture in the book of Proverbs that said that, about the grave. It says, but gathereth unto him all nations. And this is what they're trying to do. This is why you had the United Nations. This is why you have the United Nations. This is why you had the League of Nations. This is why back in the late 1800s, there was another organization dealing with all nations coming together. I forget the name of it. Because they've been trying to implement this ever since they came back into power through that great deception. Hey, when you go all the way back to the Persian Empire, you had the Edomites trying to take the Persian Empire and marry it to them, put it into their hands. That's what Haman was trying to do. So these devils, all they're trying to do is get everybody's riches and resources, amass it to themselves so that they can be the rulers of the universe, so to speak. It says, and heapeth unto him all people. See, and in doing this, you're going to ruffle a lot of feathers because everyone is not a puppet. Everyone out there is not a meat puppet. You have people that have common sense in their head and know to discern. So wait a minute, man, this motherfucker say he going to help me out. And I don't know, man. If this is what you call helping out, I don't want your help. I don't need your help. Because helping someone out means that they're supposed to. Matter of fact, let's look up this word help. Helping somebody out means that you're helping them in their, endeavor to help them better themselves. But then when you so-called helping somebody, but then you're the one that's benefiting from it, how the hell is that help? Help. The activity of contributing to the fulfillment of a need or furtherance of an effort or purpose. A person who contributes to the fulfillment of a need or furtherance of an effort or purpose, a resource, a means of serving. Give help or assistance, be of service. Improve the condition of. Right? So instead of improving the condition of, you're improving your condition. But the condition of the people you're saying you're helping is getting worse than it was before you got there. So what are you doing? You're really destroying the people. That's why the scriptures say, that when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Here it is, you're in mourning, and somebody's coming and say they're going to help you to help benefit you. But then by the time they finish with you, you're in a worse condition than you were before they got there. So what are these nations saying? No, thank you. We don't need your help. Don't bring that shit over here. We don't want your help. That's why it goes on to say, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? So how long is this going to be? Well, it's going to go as long as the Most High allows it to. What if the Most High willing to show his power, endure with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted for destruction? Because the Lord has to wait until his words are fulfilled before he can bring this demonic beast down, this devil. And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, and this is how they make themselves rich, by lading themselves in thick clay, meaning heavy debt. Not only are they in this society in heavy debt, but that heavy debt keeps compounding, right? And there's going to come a time where the calends are going to be called in, like the word calendar, as Elder Apostle Gabar broke down years ago. Calendar means callings. So when they start calling in these debts, what do you think is going to happen? The average person out there today can barely pay the bills and put food on the table. So when they call in these debts, what do you think is going to happen? The peoples, the lands, the substances are going to be turned over to the hands of the international banker families whose the debt is owed to. Because the FRNs that were used as a debt-bearing note, the accumulation of that debt that was created out of nothing is owed to who? To the international banking families. That's why it says, let's go real quick to Proverbs. The book of Proverbs, 27 and 6. It says, I'm sorry, not 27. I thought it was 27 and 6. Or is it 26 and 7? Nope. 27. I thought it was 27. Or no, 22 and 7. That's it. 22 and 7. Proverbs 22 and 7. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. So who's the borrower? The borrower is the one that is borrowing money from who? The lender. Who is the lender? The international banking families. Scripture say that they shall lend to thee, and you should not be able to lend to them. So every time you take on these FRNs, pretty much you're putting yourself in further and further of a debt. So they plan on calling in these debts. And that's why, there's sayings, out there that, This time is going to come when you will owe nothing and you will be satisfied. You will be happy. Why? Because indirectly, they took all of your assets, because indirectly, pretty much indirectly, we belong to the international bankers because we have birth certificates, social security cards, driver's licenses, so we are servants to these devils by contractual slaves. See? So what they want to do is, because that the people ain't going to be able to pay the debt to you, they want to make perpetual slaves to put that all, the ancient world all in you, which today would be the charagma, the microchip, that will go into every individual person out there, so that they can have their slaves branded, and the servitude would be perpetually. This is what they're doing. This is what's happening. These are their goals. These are their plans. This is what they're pushing out there. This is why everything has to do with economics, financial. The legislation they're pushing is to back people into a corner, so that they have no other way but to subject themselves to the will and authority of the international banking families through whatever agency they have out there that's pushing whatever bullshit they pushing. You see? So it goes on to say, verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long? So in other words, there was a saying before, years ago, Yankee, get out of my land, go home. That's why you have these different nations that call America the Great Satan. That's where you have different groups of people in these different nations, among the Hamites and all these other nations and stuff like that, that do not trust these devils, because they've seen their help. They've seen how they went into a particular country and gave them these inoculations that made the people sick, gave them AIDS and all different type of other diseases. And they say, no thanks. We don't want that. Get the fuck up out of here. Bounce. It says, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? Yeah, because the people are getting tired, man. Tyranny could only go so far. Hey, Mussolini and his wife, what happened? They beat the shit out of them so bad that they had them, believe they were hung upside down, and they beat them devils until they dropped dead. Because the people got fed up with the goddamn tyranny and the greed. So that's where there's going to be a revolution in this country. People are going to stand up and fight against the government, because they're pushing that draconian measure on them, and they're pushing them and backing them into a corner. So it goes on to say, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, that's heavy debt. So it goes on to say, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee? Yeah, because even among your own allies, your own people that you help, your confederates, they're going to come against you, because you're such a devil, such a demon, that after you take from everybody else that you can't get no more, then you start going after your own. You are a parasite. You are an unquenchable devil. You cannot be satisfied. There's nothing that will satisfy you. That's why after 1,000 years of hardcore slavery, you're going to be rounded up in a bonfire and burnt. Because that's the only solution I could think of, which is the Lord's solution. You cannot be around, because all you do is destroy. There's, even when you came to this side of the world, the so-called North American Indians, the Gadites, they even said, look, man, why, there's plenty of land here. We're willing to share. Why do you got to take our shit? See? But that's you. You're that devil. And that's the spirit that the Lord got in you. You know, and the scriptures say that the truth shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. So this is the spirit of the Lord guiding you to do what you do, so that the Most High can step in and do what he do. It says, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee? And thou shalt be for booties unto them. Yeah, because all of these riches that you have, they're going to be transferred, translated. They're going to come to us, the Israelites, and some of these nations are going to get some riches also, but it's going to really come to the Israelites because it rightly belongs to us. Did not the Lord say that he made the world for our sakes? So if something is made for our sakes, we're supposed to have an inheritance, and we're also supposed to have slaves. So it says, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee. Because everybody's going to want a piece of your ass in the kingdom, man. You're going to be the most sought out slave in the kingdom, you Edomites. Boy, oh boy. You too, vocab. Because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Because there's no limits. There's no limits to you. There's no limits to the things that you will do. There's no limits to the wickedness that you will push on the planet. You have no compassion. You're that deaf adder. If you go around a poisonous serpent and you get too close, that poisonous serpent is not going to say, oh, you know what, I'm going to have compassion on this guy. I'm going to get up out of here. No, they're going to strike you. That's how these devils are. It says, woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high. And that's what you've done. What you've done is you've done all this stealing, shedding of blood to set your nest on high and have everybody dependent on you. It says, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Why? Because now what's going to happen is the destruction of your dreams and your goals. They're gonna go up in smoke. Up in smoke. It says, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establisheth a city by iniquity. Why? Because that's going to be a witness against you. You got to pay for these things, man. All that bloodshed of the children of Israel here on the shores of America, from Canada all the way down to South America and everything in between, you got to pay for that, man. That's not just going to go away. The Most High is going to require his blood. Since you didn't hate blood, blood is going to pursue you. Just like the curses pursued us and overtook us, that blood is going to pursue you and overtake you. You just wait. That's why the scriptures say, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, it is set in the hearts of the sons of men to do wickedness. And that's why you're emboldened to do what you do and push this agenda forward, because nothing has happened to you all these hundreds of years. But you don't understand that all these hundreds of years, this has only been like a half a day to the Most High. From the Renaissance to about now. Little more than a half a day. You dirty mothers. Behold, is it not of the Lord of hosts that the people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for very vanity? Yeah, because everything you're doing to build, the Lord said he's going to throw it down. So everything that you're doing is in vain. You know, you're setting up your nest on high. You got your riches. You got your plans. You got your little shelters. You know, you got your little escargot, you know, with your King Louis wine or cognac or whatever you got. You know, you're thinking that you're going to be good to go. Quail eggs, you know, poached, you know, with a little bit of lox on the side. You know, you're gonna be sitting there, eating that bullshit, and all of a sudden, boom, kick in the door, and now that's your ass. Yeah, man. So it says, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. That's right. And I'm gonna, let me see. Let me go real quick to James, the 5th chapter. Now I want to read a couple more verses there, and then we'll finish Habakkuk. So this is James, the 5th chapter. That's why this James, the 5th chapter is a very key chapter in the scriptures, because it goes all into these international banking families. So it says, James 5:1, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Because you have to remember, when you're living good and you have everything that heart could wish, and you don't have to work for anything, you don't have to lift a hand for anything, everything's brought at your beck and call. But then you go from that overnight into a slave, to having to dig in ditches, digging holes, that is a traumatizing event. That's like a shock and awe moment, because you're going from one extreme to another. So not only are you going to be working, you're going to be slaves, but you're going to be, in your mind, you're going to be all fucked up in the mind, because you're gonna not know what to do. Like the parable says, what should I do? I can't dig to beg. I'm ashamed of. You're gonna try to find ways to escape, but you're not gonna be able to escape. Your suffering is gonna be legendary, and that is true. It says your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth-eaten. Why? Because of the way that you got them. It says your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasures together for the last days. So this is what you've done, because you know that eventually you plan on bringing in this agenda, New World Order. So you're making sure that your chips are stacked. And right now, within the last year and a half, your chips just got stacked so high. But you don't know that when you're about to implement this so-called New World Order, that's when the Most High is going to destroy your New World Order. And your dreams are going to die in your shelters. That vision that you had is going to die in your shelters. It says, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Yeah. So all these people that you've ripped off, their cries, the Lord hears that. So you're just amassing more and more and more, piling up more and more and more debt on top of debt. The same way you're piling this fake debt on these people, the Lord is piling real debt on you. And you plan on, exacting that debt on the people by making them slaves. The Lord is going to take all of that debt that he got against you and put you as a slave. How do you like them apples? It says you have lived in pleasure on the earth. You have been wanton. You have lived in pleasure on the earth. You have fared sumptuously every day. Your dainties, and all your goodly stuff that you've what's the word I'm looking for? Paraded in front of all these people, these kings, these different people, so that they can be allured to get it. You're done, man. You have lived in pleasure on the earth and have been wanton. Yeah, because you've been undisciplined. It says, you have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter. Yeah, because what is a day of slaughter? That's a feast. When you slaughter an animal and you're having a feast, everybody eats. So you're fat because of that. You're living it up pretty much. Fared sumptuously. You have condemned and killed the just, and he does not resist you. Yeah, and that's what you do to the Israelites. It says, be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, a husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, and hath long patience for it, until he receive the early and latter rain. Yeah, because eventually the Lord is going to justify us. He's going to give us true reparations. He's going to, avenge us. He's going to set the record straight. And once Yahushua gets here, all bets are off, man. It's going into in a different direction. Everything's going to be going into a different direction. All right, going back to Habakkuk 2 and 15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth the bottle to him, that maketh him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. Yeah, and a lot of you, that's what you do. You Edomites, you make Jake do certain things because Jake is destitute, poor. They don't really have much. So when you dangle something in front of them, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to dance. You want me to dance. They're going to dance. You make them do these commercials where you can have them eating a cheeseburger or a fish sandwich or something like that. But no, you got to have the biggest cheeseburger with all types of sausage and bacon, so that you can be an accuser to the Heavenly Father. Look at these your people. Look what they're doing. You think you're smarter than the Most High, man. The fuck is your problem? It says, thou art filled with shame for glory. Yeah, because you have glory on the planet, but it's filled with shame. Because people are starting to see the shame. They're starting to realize how you got everything. Because a lot of them have had the experience with you in their country. So it says, drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered, because now you're going to be revealed. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. So how is the cup of the right hand of the Lord being brought upon you? By the prophets coming out here and exposing everything that you've done, all of this wickedness that you've done. And that in turn is turning around to shameful spewing on your glory. Because how did you get America? How was America built? How did the so-called Negroes of the tribes of Benjamin, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and some of the other tribes get over here to this side of the world? They got over here by cargo slave ships. How did you get the lands from Canada all the way down to South America and everything in between? You killed the Northern Kingdom. The 10 tribes that were already here. Took their land, put them in slavery. How did you get the lands of all these other people and their resources? You got them by way of deceit and fraud. I'm going to have to get ready to move because they're giving tickets out. So, so they're doing it by way of fraud. So the Lord said he's spewing shameful spewing on your glory. And that's what's happening right now. That's why you're being exposed on all levels. That's why everything that you do, is coming out. Because of the wicked, vile way that you got everything. And it's all being a witness against you. And before you know it, the Lord Yahushua will be here to set the record straight. Because right now the Lord is exposing you. But eventually what's going to happen is that you're going to be taken out of your position of rulership and be brought back down to where you belong, to the pauper that you are. Because your last name Bauer is indicative of who you really are. You're nothing but a peasant, And okay, I guess the cop is leaving. He gave somebody a ticket. I thought he was going to come give me a ticket, but he's moving on. But eventually he'll be back around. He's been circling around for the last 4 or 5 times. Okay, so with that, I'm pretty sure that the point was already made. So with that, Lord's will, You brothers and you few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say shalom.